All right, Nick. Bottom 9 in Baltimore, which means one thing and one thing only. The Reds are either tied and or in the lead, and they are in the lead. I want to get ahead of this. If you don't like listening to this part of the show, which is us doing the ninth inning, we go live in the ninth inning, quite literally every single game. If you don't like that, what you can do is there are timestamps that Nick so eloquently does, and he works hard to do each and every single night. He puts timestamps on when this show ends and when essentially the real show begins. And you could click directly on that. So just, I know that the OGs may know that, and I know they do know that, but there are some comments. We got some comments of people complaining about why we do this, Nick. So I just want to let everyone know.
Maybe I should put it on the intro graphic. Maybe like that, a note on that. Maybe that would be a good idea. That way we don't have to go.
That just shows you the courtesy and the niceness of you. I think to myself, wow, how incompetent can you not be to not be able to find the fact that there are quite literally chapters to every single YouTube video. You can see the chapters and click on them. I'm thinking, hey, what's the incompetency level of this person that can't figure this out? You're actually thinking of a way to help them. Yeah. I should probably start trying to be a little bit more like you when it comes to being nice. I just think people are idiots.
Well, if you're watching on a TV,
that's true.
You would not be able to see the chapters, but you also wouldn't be able to comment. So
you could. That's a good point. These are all good points. We got a lot of good points going on. By the way, the Reds are leading 8-3, bottom of the ninth. Nobody out. Alexis Diaz coming in to close the door down. I don't have those anymore.
No.
I know. Listen, no. I got to be honest. Hey. Nice play. Yeah, it was a good play.
Oh, no, Helvey.
Yeah, it's a good play. We need him to start hitting the ball a little bit, and then I think we're on to something.
Dare I say that was a nice little catch and staying on the back from Candelario?
Oh, my gosh. Now you're going over it. Now we've gone too far. The guy stretched and caught the ball like a first baseman does ever since they're
he looked like a legitimate first baseman.
9 years old. Yeah, I think he looked like a good 13U baseball player right there.
Oh, boy.
I'm not going to apologize for calling Candelario a bum. He hit a home run tonight. I am thankful that he did so. He's got a lot more before we get to a point where we stop doing that. And you know what? There was also a great point that got brought up by Sean Spurlock, our one true actual northern star, if you want to call it that, of Chatterbox Sports. He said every single time we go in on Candelario, he hits a home run, which you've done it twice this year. He's hit 2 home runs. So,
can you go in on Steer tonight?
No, no. Easter's Sunday. Okay, let's wait. Let's pump the brakes on the miracles here.
I thought your Candelario rant during his at bat, I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah,
but I didn't realize how funny it was until there wasn't any emotion attached to it, and I'm editing that today. Honestly, that was one of your best moments on this show. I mean, it was the part where you say where their catcher's down and you say something like, you stop yourself in the middle of it to make sure you're giving some respect to the fallen Mariner.
Yeah. Listen,
it was good.
There's only one way to keep people around if they're going to watch Reds baseball. It's either they win or you have to be entertaining. So you better come prepared to be entertaining more times than not. All right, chat. If you don't mind, hit the like button. That would be really great. The other thing that would be great is if Alexis Diaz gets this last out right here, and we can start this show. Nick, I also want to ask the chat. My wife thinks I'm crazy. My son has a baseball game tomorrow at 8 a.m., okay, in Dayton, which is about 45 minutes away. I don't think I have ever played at any history of my baseball career since I was a kid an 8 a.m. game. I think I've done 9. I don't think I've ever done 8. Is 8 o'clock, like, is that a new thing? I mean, 8 a.m. is crazy, dude.
I think I was asleep for about 1 hour at 8 a.m. this morning.
Dude, I mean, 8 a.m. is crazy.
I was hitting my rim.
Yeah. It's supposed to rain, so maybe, but I got a feeling that if this tournament, if you're going to call it that, they're in it to make some money. My guess is that those games aren't getting rained out until at least somebody's played a game or two before they can say, yeah, well, you don't get your money back.
Where's Brandon Williamson when you need him?
Yeah, exactly. This was the place right here. Old Charlie Goldsmith found out. It's funny because Charlie's around enough now to where it's like it's got to be a joke, right? Like I would assume Brandon Williamson's seen him and they've kind of laughed about it.
I don't know if Brandon Williamson has that.
You don't think he's laughed?
There you go.
All right, you're ahead of me. So there it is. All right, folks, we'll be right back. You know what time it is.
Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Boston. The Reds win the pennant.
Larkins won the game. That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none. Welcome Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again.
Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Chatterbox is a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one belongs to the Reds.
And a high drive. Hit back into deep right field. Junior has just knocked the door down to the 500 club.
Benson's first home run is a walk-off winner. That ball had a family.
And De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McClain's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive. Left center field. Racing back to the Laurent Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Reds win! Line to the right field. Genius, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game.
right, Nick. It's a Friday night edition of Chatterbox Reds. Reds win 8-3. I am very glad, Nick, that there was some accountability. I don't know if you want to get started on the right foot tonight. I don't know if you want to kind of make that parade right now. Do you want to get ahead of this? Do you want to do it now, or do you do it later in the show? Because I know I have been doing this long enough to know that Nick Kirby is going to take his parade around town about, I'm so glad that Elly didn't sit this one out for some accountability. Do you want to do it now or later?
I'm good. You know what, Trace? I had the tweet already in the drafts before Elly even hit that home run. It was ready to go. I mean, you know. Yeah,
I figured it. As soon as I seen him hit the home run, I was thinking to myself, there goes Nick. I don't know if I'm going to get an all caps Nick Kirby tweet, or if I'm going to get basically a tweet kind of poking the bear that was the accountability piece, but I'm glad to see it was the accountability. But listen, that's why you go to sleep. You know, sometimes it's a good lesson for all of us in life. You're really pissed off about something. You realize that maybe by the end of the night, it wasn't as big of a deal as it felt a couple hours ago, and then you go to bed, you wake up the next day, it feels a little bit better. The Reds win 8-3, and it seems like yesterday's debacle is a long forgotten memory. So I also want to say my son did say during this game, I didn't say it, my son did. He said, why are all the guys that aren't very good doing really good tonight? I didn't say it. He said it. Any thoughts before we jump into the box score recap?
No, let's roll. Let's have a show.
All right, let's do it. Box score recap presented by Nick Kirby.
All right, Reds taking on the Baltimore Orioles, first of 3 at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. An all-lefty matchup of Andrew Abbott against Cade Povich. The Orioles struck first on a Cedric Mullins solo home run in the second, but it would be all Cincinnati Reds the rest of the way. In the top of the third, with 2 runners on base, Elly De La Cruz crushed the ball to center field. A hit off the top of the wall. It was called a double on the field, but overturned to a 3-run home run, 3-1 Cincinnati. In the top of the fourth, Jeimer Candelario destroyed a solo home run to center field. That made it 4-1 Reds. And then later in the inning, Matt McLain smacked a 3-run home run to center field, 7-1 Reds. In the top of the sixth, Austin Hayes in his return to Baltimore, well, he was credited with an RBI single. Well, the Orioles probably should have caught, but nonetheless, 8-1 Reds. Andrew Abbott, absolutely brilliant. 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 11 strikeouts. Only the second time in his career that he struck out 11-plus batters, and the first time since 2023. Heston Kjerstad hit a 2-run home run off Scott Barlow to make it 8-3 in the 8th. But Alexis Diaz back in the 9th threw a perfect 9th inning. Reds win 8-3. Reds now 10-10 on the season, and Cincinnati has won 7 out of their last 10.
All right, we got the Deep Drive of the Day sponsored by DSC, and we actually have a legitimate Deep Drive of the Day. And you know what? Sometimes when somebody does something that you feel proud about, or perhaps even, a time to time when it's kind of like the one kid that never gets a hit in Little League, he finally gets a hit, and you give the game ball to him instead of the kid that hit like 3 home runs because he always hits 3 home runs. We're going to give it to Jeimer Candelario. That's his second home run of the year, 107 off the bat, 415 feet. And as I said before, if we have to every single night basically demean the man for him to turn around and hit a home run the next night, we'll do it again if we have to. That would give the Reds a 4-1 lead. Their win probability at the time would jump up 8%, 82% at the time. And as we all know, it ended up being 100%. What is 100% is DSC being a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information. And thank you to Jeimer Candelario and John for providing a moment tonight of a legitimate Deep Drive of the Day. A couple other things, Nick, that I want to jump to is we have some super chats to get ahead of this. Ned Flanders chimes in. He says, we found our DH, Jose Trevino. Yeah. Don't put it past the Reds, by the way. That might be a spot he finds himself in by the end of the year. RD711 chimes in and said, and this one belongs to who? It belongs to the Reds. That's who it belongs to, RD711. And Molly, a member for 18 months, True Nut Cutter, says the Reds may never lose again. Sure. I think that might be a little far-fetched, but you know what? That's how it goes on nights like tonight. The Reds win 8-3. Nothing can be wrong in the world. Obviously, listen, I am very thankful that we got out to a spot tonight where you're starting to feel a little bit better about some of the guys that has struggled a little bit at the plate. And on top of that, it is nice to see Trevino continue to be more productive at the plate than we could ever have imagined. And probably the lead story of the game is Andrew Abbott, even though the Reds scored eight runs. I don't know your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Reds have won 7 out of 10, and they completely blew 2 games in that stretch. So, I mean, Reds are certainly playing a lot better baseball. The offense is playing a lot better. I mean, let's just read through the totals here. Last however many games it is, 6 runs, 5 runs, 5 runs, 4 runs, 8 runs, 3 runs, 7 runs, 8 runs. So that's certainly a step in the right direction. There's still, I think, some concerns offensively, but you know they're given they're significantly better than what we saw the first couple weeks of the season. But yeah, Andrew Abbott is clearly the story of this one.
Yeah, he looked as good as he's ever looked since he's been up here, which is, I think, a pretty solid statement considering how well he threw the ball when he first came up, the previous year, 2023. And I guess I still like Carson Spires. I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't, but it's kind of like what you said. I think that from a depth perspective, it does feel like we have a good amount of interchangeable parts on the back end of this rotation that allow the Reds to have some comfortability, if you want to call it that, if guys have to miss starts every so often. I obviously don't think that they could go prolonged periods of time and having guys, miss chunks of the season. But it is nice to know that if you need to give Andrew Abbott, maybe a start or 2 off, you need to give Spires, Rhett Lauder. Maybe I'm far-fetched by saying, a guy like Chase Burns. But my point still stands. If you get towards the end of this year and you need to miss starts for guys, you still feel good about the guy that probably gets put back into that spot. And Andrew Abbott, I don't expect him to throw the ball again this well. It is funny about Andrew Abbott. We've done that. How long are we going to do this, though, Nick? I mean, we do this. We keep doing this. The peripheral stats don't look great, but the stats themselves look pretty good, and the overall appearance and outings that he puts on the actual field look good. So at some point, you just kind of buy in. I kind of feel like we did that with Matt McClain when he first came up, right? It's like, you guys shouldn't really expect this because there's some peripherals, there's some things that he did in the minors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. Now it feels like kind of Matt McClain's that guy. So I don't know how much longer Andrew Abbott has to do this, but it seems like he's approaching to be that guy.
Well, the peripherals look pretty good tonight. 11 strikeouts, 19 swing and misses.
Right.
You do that consistently, there'll be no talk about smoke and mirrors and
your
stuff
FIP
plus and xERA.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying you get into the stuff plus and all that, then it kind of starts to maybe look a little different. But at the end of the day, that kind of I'm not into all that, but I understand those that are.
Well, it was not just this; it was the stuff plus and the things like FIP and xERA. I'm sure today would look fantastic, but Andrew Abbott, he struck out 10 batters once last year, and then he didn't strike out more than 8 in any start the rest of the year. I mean, so 11 strikeouts in the second start of the year is pretty incredible. And this isn't an Orioles team that's a massive strikeout team. They were middle of the pack last year. They're middle of the pack this year. So he was incredible. I mean, I was actually at the start that he set a career high in strikeouts against the Padres in 2023. I remember that. And that's probably the only time I think he's looked better. I mean, that day against that Padres lineup, he was unbelievable. I mean, he was just painting the corners. He had them fooled all night. It felt like that again tonight. And yes, this is an Orioles lineup that is struggling, but they had just played their 2 best games of the year back to back coming into tonight. So they were feeling good coming into this game. So yeah, I'm excited about Andrew Abbott. Certainly don't expect this all year, but if he is able to get just a little bit more of the swing and miss, when you parlay that with his ability to, induce contact and kind of what he's done, that can be a really good, at least middle of the rotation arm.
Yeah, again, I'm going to pump the brakes here on Andrew Abbott a little bit and just say that, if he throws the ball even remotely close to what he's been throwing the ball, I'm going to still be pleasantly, happy with all of it. Innings is important. He continues to put innings together. I think that, I'm not on an opening night. The most underappreciated thing that I think happens more times than not is probably the fact of how deep you have to go into a bullpen on the first night of a 3-game set, because it does have kind of that cumulative effect over the series of whether or not you dip your hand in that bullpen well too soon, and you come Sunday, you're kind of in a tough spot with some different situations because you've already burned through guys on Friday and Saturday. You never know. There's no guarantees, but we've seen starters in the past, a la Hunter Green, throw the ball so well on Friday that allows you to do things on Saturday and Sunday that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to do. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Reds offense, again, maybe one of their, I don't want to say one of their better games because they've also scored 14 and 11, obviously, in those other 2 games. But just from the standpoint that, I don't know what you have on the back half, but Elly's home run was, can we admit, I don't know. I'm not going to say I don't know the rules on this. I don't know the rules. Can we come together as a group here, all as one as chat, as Reds Nation, and say that we kind of got one there? I don't know what the rule is. I'm just going to tell you I don't see a yellow line, which makes me think the ball has to go over the fence. But again, I don't know. I don't care. But it felt like the baseball gods kind of paid us back a little bit. No?
I thought you were going to say it was a clutch home run, because it was a clutch home run. The Reds were down a run.
Well, it was.
I thought you were going to say it was clutch. It was clutch.
It was clutch from the sense that they got 2 guys on the beginning of the inning, nobody out, and he was the last line of defense there to even get us a run, let alone 3. It was a big hit, a big, massive hit in the game. Clearly, when you win 8-3 and 3 guys homer, it kind of waters it down a little bit, but, let's face it. Hitting's contagious. I mean, it is contagious. And for whatever reason, this team, it seems like it's overextended when hitting is contagious. Like, they're either dead silent at times or they go out and score 8, 9, 10, 12, 14 runs. And Elly ripped the Band-Aid off. He broke the seal, whatever you want to call it. You seen one go through the hoop. And it was a big home run. And hopefully people appreciated the fact that it was a big home run.
Yeah, it was a huge home run. And the Orioles have a really good bullpen. So, I mean, you don't get that home run there. I mean, even if you do score a couple more runs off Povich, it would have been a tighter game. And, who knows how it plays out. And, to your point earlier about, getting their starting pitcher out, they have a guy making his big league debut tomorrow and Charlie Morton with an 8 ERA on Sunday. So that's what they're staring down, having to, go to their bullpen and throw 4 different pitchers. 2 of their relievers threw over 2 innings today. Right. So, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty big development. Matt McClain already with 4 home runs. His power is legit. That was something I wasn't sure how that would translate, how if he would be able to kind of keep up the same numbers in 2023. But at this point, I mean, he's hitting the ball incredibly hard. Great to see Candelario hit one out. I mean, need to see a lot more, but hopefully that's a step in the right direction. And Jose Trevino, I tell you what, this guy's playing well. Two hard hit balls today. They weren't all just bloop singles. Hitting 333 with a 908 OPS. He's been really, really good. I don't think that'll last, but, Jose Trevino had a very down year offensively. But let's not forget, in 2023, I believe it was, this guy was an all-star, and his numbers were significantly better. I think a lot of people kind of just washed a little bit out of the way, had some BABIP luck and stuff like that, but maybe this guy could be a 90 WRC plus guy, 95, and that's a pretty big deal for a team that needs every win on the margins they can get.
It's going to be a really big deal if Stevenson comes back and he's capable of DHing. Or capable of playing first base. It just adds another layer to the offensive production that this team desperately needs. And on a night like tonight, the Reds win 8-3. I'm not going to come in here and point out the obvious things that need to kind of still continue to get better. Listen. I the reason I get on Candelario is largely because of his approach, the way he looks, and on top of that, he's not hurt. It's hard for me to sit here and crush Steer because I will continue to defend him and just say he had 7 at-bats in spring training. He was expected to start the year on the IL. He has a shoulder problem. He can't throw. He has no position right now. But for some reason, and again, I'm not trying to go overly ridiculous, some reason somebody decided to put him on the opening day roster. And they said, hey, he's going to be able to hit and hit and hit. And he's hitting sub 100. I mean, he's quite literally hitting nothing. So I don't know how long this continues. But it's starting to get in loony land. Now, this is my way of trying to say, hey, maybe he'll hit 3 home runs tomorrow. I still think Candelario's a bum, so maybe he'll hit another one tomorrow too. I don't know. But Nick, it is getting in la-la land at this point with this whole thing.
I agree. You're not doing this guy any favors. Like, this poor guy was clearly not ready for opening day. And I mean, his career numbers are tanking every day. I mean, this guy's playing for a contract at some point, and you're letting him get 55 at-bats, and he's got 6 hits. I mean, I don't understand why he doesn't want to get right himself. I mean, I guess he's just a gamer and a winner, and you give him all the credit for that kind of stuff. But at what point are you just doing this guy a disservice?
Yeah.
I'm with you. I feel bad for him. I'm not angry at him. I'm not upset at Spencer Steer. I think the fact that he wanted to play through an injury that he clearly shouldn't have is a commendable thing, but they're doing him no favors.
Right. And maybe he's 100% healthy and they think that he's fine and it's just a bad start to a season but again, maybe it's coincidental. I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt here. Maybe it's coincidental. He got off to a really bad start. Jake Fraley got off to a really bad start too. We've seen Nick, all it takes is 1 week of really good, offensive production, and then everything looks dramatically different. So maybe Spencer Steer can figure it out over the next 4 to 5 games and make us all look like, we didn't know what we were talking about. But it's also just the way it looks in general. So again, just something to kind of put off as a kind of a little bit of a side note, see how it goes. But overall, Reds score 8 runs tonight. Offense looked good. They got some good production, played a little bit of small ball, hit the ball backside a few times. Maybe they were fortunate. Espinal and Trevino both kind of maybe got fortunate on a base hit. But you put the ball in play, Nick, as always. Good things happen more times than not. All right, if you're looking to go down to the ball yard, perhaps, or maybe a concert, or I don't know, maybe even like a comedy show, which sometimes we see on a nightly basis, but that's here nor there. Game Time, that is the official ticketing partner of Chatterbox Reds. You can download the Game Time app today. You get a first-time purchase of $20 off if you use the code CBox. That's CBox. $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Once again, download the Game Time app and use the code CBox, CBox. You get $20 off your first purchase. Nick, they've already heard why I love this app each and every single day. 2 clicks, you're in, you're out. Tickets are in your inbox. You don't have to worry about, scalping them off the side of the road or anything like that. This is an official ticketing app of Chatterbox Reds. Nick, what's your favorite thing?
Well, I'm a last-minute guy. I've mentioned that a lot, and it's the best ticketing app for last-minute tickets. Always have great prices all the way up to, right before first pitch or right before the horn sounds. All-in pricing shows you your total before fees. Love that as well. And the lowest price guaranteed or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference.
Love that. And on a night like tonight, as always, reminder, you can text and or call 988. Keep an eye on your friends, folks. Make sure you tell them that it's okay to not be okay. As always, anonymous hotline, 988. Text and or call day or night. And as I've said before, you can also visit mantherapy.org. It's okay to not be okay. Back half of the rundown, Nick. Trace's choice. I love how it's always like it's always just like, hey, I don't have something totally yet, but we're just gonna throw it to Trace. Where do I want to go tonight? I think I already went to steer. That's kind of where I was at. I guess that was the margin that I would say probably has the most, or not the margin, but that's the category that probably has the most significance of a conversation. You watch a game like tonight, and, it's nice to just win a game you're supposed to win, and you move on. If we can find more of those, that's great. My choice is this, though. This team has failed to do something time and time again over the last 2 years. And that is you win a game on the opening side of a series, and you fail to win the series. They've got to find a way to win this series. Again, it seems overreactionary from time to time on April 18th, talking about trying to, guarantee you have to win a series here. But I'm not going to go ahead and say, hey, look at the Reds' schedule over the next 3 weeks, because we know how that's played out for us in the past of looking at the schedule and thinking that it's easy. But the truth of the matter is that if they could find a way to win this series, get them in a position, where they're going to be at 500 or above, it feels as if the season could play itself out when you look back at the whole entire year, and you could say, hey, we got hot in April, and that was the difference. That was the difference. We played some teams, we caught them at a bad time, and we rode into the sunset from a great April. Might not happen, but it's possible. And I would hope that they can play with a sense of urgency. Tito always talks about playing with a little bit more of a sense of urgency. I would like to see that happen over the next 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, you won the first game of that Mariners series, and you're feeling really good. And you drop that series, it can quickly kind of snowball. And yeah, I mean, look, this series, I mean, couldn't shape up much better. We'll talk about it in a second. But Hunter Green going up against a guy making his big league debut, and then Charlie Morton has been terrible for the Orioles. I mean, their pitching staff is just decimated right now. They're the complete opposite of the Reds. Their pitching has been, as everything's gone wrong with the Reds offense, everything went wrong. So yeah, I mean, you definitely have a massive advantage. I wouldn't not want to play this Orioles team in August. They'll be a dangerous team. So you really got a big kind of gift the way it lined up. You already got a gift, missing Paul Skeens last weekend. So you got to take advantage of these gifts, because yes, I mean, there are some really favorable series coming up, but there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee the Marlins couldn't play 3 games well at home, or the Rockies couldn't play 3 games well at home, or whatnot, or you just have a pitcher, not have it on a given night. So yeah, this is a great opportunity for the Reds.
It's funny because and you know how it goes. You even can watch your own team and know during certain parts of the year if they're going good or going bad. And there's times where you want to play a team. There's times where you're just happy to win one game in a series and get the hell out of there. This is a part of the year where you just don't totally know what teams are good and what teams are bad for sure yet. But certainly catching the Orioles this time of the year right now is very fortuitous, and I would like for us to take advantage of it and not kind of let this whole thing slide. And I'm not saying that they're not trying to win on a nightly basis, but let's face it, when you play 162 games, you're traveling from city to city, it's probably easy to fall into kind of a little bit of a coma from time to time where you just go through the motions and you're just trying to, put your best foot forward, but at the same time, it's not nearly a kind of a playoff intense atmosphere, and I'm not expecting them to be able to have a playoff intense kind of focus for 162 straight games. But I guess I'm openly saying, like, I'd like to make this series a priority. They need to treat this as if it's a playoff series in my mind, because I think after this series, they're going to have some I don't want to say it because it's scary to say, but they're going to have some good opportunities to win baseball games. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to sit here and say the schedule's so easy that they should mow right through it, because we know how that goes. But that's here nor there. So jumping forward here, we have Hayes obviously back in Baltimore. You appreciated the Hayes ovation, or what? You thought maybe that gave him a little bit of life?
Cool. I thought that was nice. I mean, I thought that was good, and it made me think. I know we've we've ruffled some feathers with Jonathan India, but I hope that the Reds crowd gives, India that type of moment. I don't even know if we play Baltimore at home this year or not, but whenever or not
Royals.
Kansas City.
Yeah.
Whenever that is, I hope that they get that, because that was really cool. I really like that. It was just a nice baseball moment. Orioles have a great ballpark and atmosphere. They don't always pack out the yard, but their fans are legitimately like diehard. Like you get like the East Coast fans, and I think the Yankees and the Phillies. You have some, wishy-washy, but the Orioles fans that are there at the ballpark, they're diehards and they're into it. And so I thought that was cool. Nice moment.
Yeah. Well, India will get and 100% deserves the same type of situation when it comes to Cincinnati. Let's be very clear. I mean, it's one thing to debate on shows like this, and it's one thing to debate around, hanging around the bar with your friends about whether you should trade Jonathan India or what value he has, what the leadership value is, all those things. But the truth of the matter is, and I'll always say this, I think Jonathan India cared a lot. And I also think that he played as hard as he possibly could and did everything he could to help this franchise win. Now, we can agree or disagree on how much he helped us win, but that's here nor there. I think that he will get a standing ovation, and it's rightfully deserved. All right, jumping into Reds MILB, then we'll get some supers. We'll have who, what, when, where, and why, and then obviously we'll finish the show off with the rituals.
Do you have any supers now you can get to real quick?
I can do some supers now. Yes, I can. Ready for them? Here they come. All right. Rob, Super Chat, says, what a start to another great American weekend. Trace, you need a fireball. Here's the problem. I'm going to have to get a sponsorship if we're going to do this every single time the Reds win. I fireball shots every single time the Reds win probably is not great for my health. It's not probably great for anything other than this chat laughing at me. I will do fireball shots. I better be careful. I'll do fireball shots every time the Reds win a series. How about that? How about that, Rob? I was almost going to say sweep. And then I thought, you know what? That's being a little cheap. Every time they win a series, which hopefully is a lot, I'll do a fireball shot just for you, Rob. That super chat is worth every single time the Reds win a series. Rob's the reason I'm doing a fireball shot. I'll also tell my wife that as well. All right. Nick, you're getting shout out. Yep, Nick has the pregame nugget on the big one that he does. I'm trying to think of anything else here on the chat that I can see. People are suggesting trading players for cheese conies. I don't think that's going to happen. Anything else? I think
How many cheese conies?
They only said one cheese coney, which seems pretty low on my end. I mean, you should at least get a crate for a professional baseball player.
I would take a cheese coney for Candelario, as long as they're paying the contract.
Oh man! If they pay the contract, I don't know if you know, Nick, but they could.
I don't even need a coney.
They could not get Candelario and take the amount of money they're paying Candelario.
I'll give them
in
100
contract
conies.
fees, and they could own damn near 20 chili joints. Just so you know, I mean, $20 million, Nick. I don't know if you know, but that'll get you a lot of chili. As much chili as you need. AAA. How'd the Bats do?
The Bats did not do well tonight. They fell 13-2 to Columbus. Bats only got 3 hits. They fall to 9-10 on the season. Weird start for Chase Petty. He gave up 5 unearned runs in this one. 4 2/3 innings pitched, 7 runs, 2 of them earned, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, allowed 3 home runs. Some of it was his own fault because he actually had a throwing error that led to a grand slam. But then right after he gave a grand slam, he struck out 3 consecutive batters. His stuff was great. Hit 98.2 miles per hour, had 18 swing and misses. So just kind of an inconsistent, I guess, start for Petty, which is kind of where he's at right now. 4.76 ERA through 4 starts, 20 strikeouts, 7 walks, and 17 innings. Tyler Callahan continues to hit. 1 for 3, double and a walk, stole a base, 324, 991 OPS. Benson 0 for 3 with a walk. Hines 1 for 4. Yvonne Johnson 0 for 4. And then shout out to Albert Abreu. Made a fantastic debut. 2 perfect innings with 3 strikeouts. Got 5 whiffs on 9 swing against a sinker, hit 97.1. So maybe another interesting arm down there in the Louisville bullpen to keep an eye on. I know there's a lot of people kind of excited about him when the Reds picked him up this offseason. Chattanooga, they won 3-1 over Knoxville. Lookouts only allowed 4 hits. They improved to 6-6 on the season. Edwin Arroyo 0 for 2 with a pair of walks. South Stewart 0 for 4. Ethan O'Donnell 1 for 4. The Dayton Dragons, they fell 7-2 to Great Lakes. Dragons now just 5-8 on the season. Chase Burns got off to a tough start. He gave up a home run, walk, and home run to the first 3 batters, but then he settled in and was his normal dominant self, retired the final 11 batters that he faced. Probably would have gone longer, but the game actually got delayed at that point. Only threw 51 pitches, 37 of them strikes. Burns threw 3 starts so far this year, 11 2/3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 20 strikeouts, 3.09 ERA. Not a whole lot offensively. It's now Ricky Cabrera, no longer Ricardo Cabrera. He has changed his official MILB name to Ricky, and he was 0 for 4. Leo Balcazar and Yerlin Confidant, each 1 for 4. Nice night for 2024 pick Miles Smith. He was 2 for 4. And last but not least, the Daytona Tortugas fell 5-1 to Jupiter. They won 5-1 over Jupiter. They're now 8-5 on the season. Alfredo Duno on base twice, 1 for 3 with the walk. Good day for Carlos Sanchez. He's having a really great start of the season. On base 3 times, 2 for 3 with a double and a walk. And then Sammy Stafora out of the lineup again, not put on the IL. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I will try to seek out more information on Sammy Stafora, one of my favorite Reds minor leaguers.
Leitch 1277 says Trevino has been great. He has been. I mean, he has been. We talked about that earlier. If you haven't been part of the show the whole time, he opens up some doors, some opportunities that this team we didn't think we had. If he's going to be, like you said, even just a semi below average hitter, that gives the Reds very good flexibility that they probably need at this very moment, and that's quite literally the DH spot. And Tyler Stevenson hitting at the DH spot is not something that I would be mad about at this point. We need some help.
Let me ask you this. Let's say you do activate Stevenson, and we kind of talk about him maybe jumping into that role where he doesn't catch a whole lot, maybe 1 out of every 3 or 4 games. It feels like the Reds have not utilized the 26th man very well. Would you consider keeping Wins on the roster and going with 3 catchers, and then that way you're not really as worried about, you can still pinch hit for Trevino if you need to.
Yes.
And you don't have to put I don't want Stevenson playing first base all the time, but I know that's easier to do because he can switch to catcher. But I don't think that's really great for him either.
I don't think this team's well-rounded enough right now to think that they're going to be missing something significant from the 26th man. So having the flexibility of having the 3rd catcher, they've done it in the past. Obviously, we remember the ongoing debates of David Bell and Kirk Casale and whether or not Kirk Casale should be on this roster. He's not played for 12 straight games, blah, blah, blah. I think that would probably rear its head again at some point. But let me also say, I don't know the extent of Stevenson's injury, and I'm not suggesting that he should come back before he's healthy to play, but I also kind of like the idea of just easing him in to where he only maybe has to catch once a week for a little bit of time, but he's still getting at bats. And as you said, if you put him in as a DH, it does put you in a really, really tough spot. You would have to carry 3 catchers. I mean, it otherwise wouldn't really work. Because even if you got in a spot where somebody in a game got hurt and you already burnt, you don't really want to have to put someone that's not even a catcher back there as an emergency. So I don't think you're left with much of a choice but to have 3 catchers. And I would also say, Wins, I know that you joke about it and I joke about it. I don't think Wins is really all that bad as a backup. He's serviceable. He's had good moments. He has every bit of ability to come in and maybe hit a home run every so often, and I think he plays pretty good defense. The one thing I was going to say, Nick, the other day, I wish the Reds could control the run game a little bit better right now. I don't know. I don't want to put that all on Trevino. I don't want to put it on Wins when he plays. I think some of that is just the pitchers are predictable. They don't hold runners as well as I would like them to. It feels like the Mariners really just kind of feasted on us on the base paths. I hope we can clean that up a little bit. Again, maybe it was just kind of like a little bit of a hump in a full season. Over 162 is not a big deal. Something to keep an eye on, though, is the run game and whether or not we can control it a little bit better than we have. But overall, this baseball team's in a much better spot than I could have ever hoped for on the 18th of April. And we really, again, let's try to survive and advance here for a little bit of while, because it feels like this team is at some point going to get hot. Elly's going to get on a absolute, tear over the course of 2 or 3 weeks at some point this year. And I know that I make fun of Candelario, and I know that I'm obviously hard on the Steer situation, and and again, Fraley or whoever else you want to put out there and write, it's going to get better. I mean, it really is. And I Candelario is a better player than he's playing right now. He obviously hit a home run tonight. He's going to play better. The question is when? How long do we have to wait? And that's the question that none of us have answers to, that we need it to be sooner than later. Because it feels like, hopefully I jinx this in the opposite way, it feels like the starting pitching and the bullpens aren't going to be able to keep doing this. And if they do this, from a historical perspective, it's going to be an all-time season. And I would also say that we are going to be right there at the end of the year to win the division if this is the starting pitching and bullpen efforts that we're going to get on a consistent basis.
Yeah. Yeah, and we know that we knew coming in that Trevino's strength is not throwing out runners. But I agree with you. Some of it is on the pitching, but that's not his strength by any means. And he makes up for it with every other aspect of his game catching. And I'm with you on Wins. I mean, as someone who watched way too many games in 2022, I know what a really bad backup catcher looks like, and Austin Wins certainly is not that. He does a good job. He's fine behind the plate. And it seems like everything I've heard about Wins is that he has meshed very well with the pitching staff and their game coordination, because it's a whole process with these catchers, and Wins is very involved with that. So, I think it would make a lot of sense just to keep Wins, especially when you had Hurtubise on the roster for 3 weeks and he had like 5 at-bats.
Yep. We're on the same page there. And in fact, I'm rooting for that. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the last guys that we currently have on the bench, but there's just not enough value there for me to say, hey, do you want to have a spot where Stevenson basically is incapable of DHing from time to time because you just don't have a backup? So, we shall see. Anyway.
The only caveat I would add to that is if the Reds did kind of change their roster at some point, and they called up guys like Tyler Callahan, who's a left-handed batter, and maybe Will Benson, and went a little bit heavier into the platoons, then maybe you need that. But if they're not going heavy in the platoons, I mean, this was a rare night Gavin Lux didn't play against a left-handed pitcher, then that last spot is significantly less important. But if you were going heavier in platoons like the Mariners did, the Mariners have all 4 guys on their bench play against every left-handed pitcher, then that those spots really matter. But the way the Reds have managed the roster, it doesn't matter at all.
Right.
Or very little.
Correct. Yeah. Which to be honest, Nick, like there are times where it's a little bit more of an enjoyable watch when you're playing guys consistently in certain spots. Connor's brought up something earlier in the chat that I think's a pretty good discussion point here before we end the show. Matt McLain hits leadoff. Don't know if that's something that's going to continue, but I think that I'm on board with it. As much as I don't think that TJ Friedl has been, bad enough to just lose that spot, I think that Matt McLain is that much more of an asset there, right? Like, let's just be honest. When it's 8-9-1 in a lineup, when you see that in the 9th inning you got 8-9-1, or maybe even if it's 7, 8, 9 and you get one guy on and you need a 2-run home run, TJ Friedl has a little bit of pop. I'm not taking anything away from him. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Matt McClain's just a better hitter. And I'm hopeful that we can kind of start to put somebody in the leadoff spot that has more production, that has the ability to probably get on base at a high clip. And that's one thing that Matt McClain does a really good job of. He does grind out at bats, finds a way to get on more times than not. And I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not going to kill him if they don't put him back in the leadoff spot, Nick, but it was nice to see.
I'm glad you said that because today was my favorite lineup of the year by far. First off, they went all right-handed batters against a guy that has drastic splits, so they actually trusted the numbers. I have no problem with Espinal. I would still probably prefer Elliott. I don't really have an issue with him batting second against a left-handed pitcher, but Santiago Espinal is a good player against left-handed pitching. I don't think he gets enough credit in that regard. He probably gets too much credit against right-handed pitching, not enough against left-handed pitching. But yeah, I like the lineup today. I didn't really have any issue with it. I'm a big fan of putting a guy lead off that is a dangerous hitter. Because how many times do we see a pitcher come into a game, and we've seen it a lot of times with the Reds' own pitchers, and they're kind of searching for it, those first couple batters. Why not put someone there that can put the ball in the seats, that puts the fear of God in them a little bit? And that's why I wanted Elly De La Cruz first. Matt McClain first is almost as good in my opinion. So yeah, I would like that. I'm assuming it's just because TJ Friedl was out of the lineup, and they'll go right back to it tomorrow. But I would be fully in support of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think I know why. And again, I don't want to speak for Tito, but I think the reason Tito likes Espinal in the 2-hole is because his ability to put the ball in play. And you get a guy on base, you get a guy that can put the ball in play for some reason. Again, I don't know if statistics bear this out, but baseball guys just like that. They like the concept of being able to have somebody in the 2-hole that can put the ball in play. Again, I'm not here to defend it. I'm just telling you what I think the case is. The lineup is the lineup, though. Like, on one hand, Nick, I think that you even said in the past, throw whatever lineup together you want. It doesn't really make that big of a difference. Obviously, there's some semblance of you want your better hitters to hit towards the top of the lineup because they get more at bats. But as far as the order in which they operate in, as long as there's somewhat marginal in difference, what's it really matter? We'll see. I mean, I don't know. I do like Matt McClain hitting leadoff because I also like starting a game off with a guy that I guess I trust to put together a really good at bat, set a tone. No disrespect to TJ Friedl. I don't want it to come off that way either. Like I like TJ. I just don't think he's anywhere near the class that is Matt McClain. Could be wrong. We'll see.
TJ Friedl would be an elite 9 hitter.
Yeah, he would be. Yeah. So, but anyway, that's here nor there. All right, we have more baseball to play. It is tomorrow. Who, what, when, where, and you can leave why out.
All right, we got a 4:05 start time on Saturday. It'll be Hunter Green up against right-handed pitcher Brandon Young. Young making his big league debut. Young, a 6'6" right-hander. Scouting report, Young doesn't miss a ton of bats, but his lack of true out pitch probably limits his ceiling. But he has really good command, and he is a strike thrower. He is the Orioles' number 19 ranked prospect. First 2 starts down at AAA were great for him. 6 innings, no earned runs. 5 1/3 innings, no earned runs. But his last time out, 5 innings, 5 earned runs, gave up a home run to the Gwinnett Stripers. That is the Braves affiliate. Hunter Green has been pretty good this year. Last 3 starts, 22 2/3 innings, 0.40 ERA, 3 walks, 23 strikeouts. Only career start against Baltimore was last season, and he went 5 2/3 innings, didn't allow a run, did walk 4, but struck out 4. Active Orioles against Green are 7 for 27. Tyler O'Neill is 1 for 7. Gunnar Henderson 2 for 2. Most everyone else doesn't have more than 2 at-bats. But, yeah, big opportunity for the Reds on Saturday.
Yeah, no guarantees either. I want to be very clear. No guarantees. The baseball is baseball. You got to go out. You got to find a way to play clean baseball and win a game. I don't care who the hell's pitching, whether it's Hunter Green, or a guy making his MLB debut. Let's hope the Reds can find a way to play some more clean baseball, and that seems to be the more of the MO of who this team is than what we've seen yesterday. Do I think that the Reds are as bad as they, looked yesterday? Of course I don't. Do I think that there are times where this team maybe plays a little bit above their head? Of course I do. I just hope that they can find a way to play clean, sound, defensive baseball behind Hunter Green tomorrow and give him a little bit of run support. Let's not do the whole 0-0 heading into the 8th inning. I'm done with that. Easier said than done. Nick, take it away.
Yeah.
Nice.
There you go, weirdos.
All right. One more super before we hit the road. Ned Flanders, as always, trusty Ned, coming in with 2 supers tonight. Said, can any of our catchers throw anyone out? Looks like a weakness. That was just after Laich 1277 super chat and said Trevino has been great. It's just the life of being a MLB player. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if did you super that before we talked about it? Maybe after we talked about it? I don't know. We seemed like we discussed that maybe that was if you actually super chatted that before I talked about it, that's pretty impressive because I did not see that and it just magically happened. Someone think that's
Ned's in your head.
Could be. Maybe he supered it afterwards. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know who it's on. I don't have a stopwatch, but they have a stopwatch in the dugout. They know if it's on the catcher and or if it's on the pitcher. And I think more times than not the other night it was on the pitcher. I really do. Trevino has thrown a couple ball high. Wins has a better arm than Trevino does by far. I don't know if Wins is a better catcher because there's more to just throwing the ball. So if you could take Wins' arm and put it on Trevino, he'd be maybe the best catcher, one of the better catchers in the game. I don't know, but you can't do that, can you? So that's here nor there.
One last final thought for me. After you're done with our stream, go find the Mets-Cardinals highlight and look at Francisco Lindor's walk-off home run against the Cardinals. It is spectacular, and I would highly encourage you to partake in watching that 36 seconds.
I'm going to watch that. Imagine being a Diamondbacks fan today. They put up a 10 spot in the 8th inning on the Cubs.
I saw everyone talking about, it'd be nice if the Reds could hit like that. And I was like, I bet those teams are saying we wish we could pitch like the
100%. Oh, 100%. I was just thinking about how terrible it must be if you're a Diamondbacks fan. You watched your team put a 10 spot in 1 inning on a Major League Baseball team, and then you turn around and lost the game because you gave up 6 in the bottom half. Brutal. That's like beer league softball stuff.
Yeah.
But all right, it's time for a dunk. As always, I just want everybody to know that I very much appreciate you supporting this show. Hit the like button on your way out if you haven't already. Leave us a review in the podcast form if that's something that you're capable of doing. I'm glad to see some people have said I'm popping off on Reddit. I don't know what that is or what it means, but hopefully it's good.
Got to be the Candelario at bat.
Yeah, I think it's the Candelario at bat. I'm sorry. That's just who I am from time to time. Hopefully people don't take it too personal. It's just baseball.
I don't think there was a negative comment on that out of the hundreds that I've read. I think everyone enjoyed that very
That's good.
Much.
Hopefully people can understand that this is an entertaining show. I'm trying to keep it entertaining, but I got to be kind of honest from time to time too. Just saying. Calling a spade. I try to call a spade when I see one. He makes plenty of money. He'll be fine. If his feelings are hurt, his feelings aren't hurt. And if they are, I'll tell you what, let's hurt him more often because the SOB has hit 2 home runs after we've ridiculed him every single night. So on the way out, here's what I'm going to say. I'll say it again until I'm blue in the face. I don't give a damn. Candelario has been terrible. He has been absolutely atrocious this year. And if you think that that's lying, you just haven't watched the games. So, you know what? I dare him to hit another one. Go ahead. Prove me wrong, please. Prove me wrong, please. I'd be willing to put my house for sale if he hits a home run in another game tomorrow. But it's time for bigger and better things, like dunking a basketball. I got to get up at the kids show crack of dawn. So I'm going to try to dunk this basketball as nicely as I can without waking people up. I'm also going to try to say, again, thank you for supporting our show each and every single night, win or lose. I can't tell you how much I love all of you for just telling your friends about this and then also just supporting us. I mean, it is crazy to me that on a nightly basis we have 200, 300, 400, 500, 600 people in here, and then obviously post-show, thousands of people watching. And I just want to say thank you. We're a small business, man. We're a small business. We put a lot of effort in this. Hopefully you guys understand that. And I just want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Now watch this dunk. I've had better performances. Go Math.